Ted Wheeler's stunned by that. Oh my gosh, they don't like that? They don't like being blinded by Antifa lasers in their eyeballs? What the hell's wrong with these people? So I told you the broken, failed human being, not just failed mayor, again, failed human being, the mayor of Portland, whose city has descended into third world chaos, is now desperate, with the media's help, of course, to try to make this about Trump. I'm not gonna go through the liberal. I'm not gonna do it again. This is so obvious. Liberals, you get it. This is so obvious, obviously liberal-run violence on our streets that anyone trying to tell you otherwise really thinks you're a moron. I mean, I'm not kidding. Thinks you're an imbecile with a double-digit IQ. Let me play this video. Here's the broken mayor of Portland, Ted Wheeler Dealer. Amazingly, trying to suggest that it's him who wants to work across the aisle to secure his city, which is burning to the ground on his watch. Just pay attention. He wants to work across the aisle. Check this out.
Now the work that we have to do in our communities across this nation in the wake of the murder of George Floyd. I'm up to that challenge, and I hope the president is too. And I'm ready to reach across any aisles I need to reach across, any political divides that I need to cross in order to bring us back together. Somebody's got to do it. I'm committed to it. I know my colleagues on the Portland City are committed to it. I'd like to hear the president of the United States say he's all in. Let's bring this great nation back together.
This lunatic just submitted a 19-point plan to defund his police department while the city of Portland is burning to the ground.
Jeez.
He wants to reach across the aisle now. What do you think happened? Yeah. Quick question, Joe. Let me give you two alternate scenarios. I'll allow you to answer. Do you think the hapless, radical, leftist, communist mayor of Portland, who's watched his city burn to the ground for years now, which has been taken over by Antifa, do you think, Joe, that this is a really principled guy who wants to work across the aisle to secure the safety and security of the businesses and citizens of Portland? That's A. Do you think that happened? Or B, radical leftist communist mayor of Portland watched his city burn to the ground and has figured out that the polls are turning against him. And all of a sudden he's figured out that the residents of Portland don't want to watch their city burn to the ground. You think it's A or B?
Well, Dan, I think I got to go with B.
I know it took a while. I know you had to really think that through, but I'm going to go with B too, that this guy's an epic, colossal fraud who doesn't give a damn about his citizens, hasn't for years now, while Antifa owns his city and owns him, and has now just figured out that, gosh, these polls aren't looking good. We took a poll and 61% of the American people. Let me make it even more simple, closer to home. We took a poll in a focus group, and 61% of Portland residents, when asked, do you want to be burned alive by Antifa or not? 61% said, no, I don't want to be burned alive. Gosh, we better do something. Crosstab, you ever Bob and Paul, if you ever run for office, they have these crosstab, they call them crosstabs, these questions and all this stuff. Crosstab question 2. While walking down the streets of Portland, do you prefer to be left alone, A, or question B, do you prefer to have a baseball bat over the head and be potentially murdered by a guy who declares himself 100% Antifa? Again, according to the New York Post, there's some interesting reporting. Yeah. What do you prefer? I'm going to go with A. I think I'd rather not be murdered. I'm just saying.
Me too, Dan.
Joe, shocker, Joe agrees with me on that one. I don't want to be murdered either. So now all of a sudden he's seen the light. Road to Damascus moment for Ted Wheeler Dealer. But he just said, you heard the video, right? He just said he wants to work across the aisle with like Republicans, Republicans like the president and stuff. He just said that, right? You heard it. That's why I played that first. So let's see how he works across the aisle. Ted Wheeler Dealer. People being murdered in his city streets there. Let's go to this New York Post article about Ted Wheeler Dealer, who's all of a sudden found religion. Yeah, right. New York Post, again in the show notes today, Mark Moore. Trump slams Portland's incompetent mayor, calls for the National Guard. So, Ted Wheeler Dealer, communist mayor of Portland, he wants to work across the aisle. National Guard sounds like a good idea, right? You just had a murder in your city. Maybe try something, maybe some federal agents separate and distinct from the National Guard. Maybe something. Compromise, back and forth, Republican, Trump, Democrat, communist, Wheeler Dealer. Across the aisle, Republican, Democrat, across. So what did he do with President Trump's offer to help secure his city? Clearly, he took it, wheeler dealer, right? You'd be wrong, of course, on that. Quote, New York Post, in an open letter Friday, in an open letter, Joe. He didn't just turn it down.
Wow.
He wanted everyone to know about it. In an open letter sent Friday, wheeler dealer said, quote, no thanks to Trump's offer to send troops. We don't need your politics of division and demagoguery. We don't need your politics of this is like a child, the letter said. But Trump said if Oregon Governor Kate Brown reaches out to him, he'd help. Again, I'm just curious, outside of the New York Post, which is a right-leaning paper. I know most of you not from New York don't know that. You know, no reason to. The New York Daily News is the leftist paper. The New York Post is the sane paper. The New York Post finally is actually doing some reporting here, reporting the actual truth. You won't hear from the mainstream media. That despite the Democrats and the media's efforts, again, to make these conservative street chaos, this is President Trump's fault. It's President Trump the one offering to help. And it's wheeler dealer and the communists who are actually enjoying this street chaos. But they're not enjoying it anymore because, again, crosstab question 3. Would you prefer at night to be sleeping in your bed peacefully, A, or B, for your house to be burned down and lasers being shined into your window by Antifa? Shockingly, 61% of people picked A. Ted Wheeler's stunned by that. Oh my gosh, they don't like that? They don't like being blinded by Antifa lasers in their eyeballs? What the hell's wrong with these people?
You just heard Dan Bongino.